deleted my
Okay, so for final review on Unit 3.
So close.
Unit 3 was all about exponents, multiplying, and factoring. Okay, we are going to do 8 examples. Okay, so for example number 1, if I ask you to simplify, in parentheses 3x y cubed, so 3xy to the third, all in parentheses, cubed, over, in parentheses, negative x squared, y cubed, raised to the second power. 3xy to the third, all raised to the third power, over negative x squared y to the third, raised to the second power. So, this is one that you do want to follow order of operations in because it is not solving. Okay, solving is when you go backwards and do the easiest thing first. Simplifying is when you want to follow PEMDAS. So, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, and subtract. You actually cannot do anything inside the parentheses. That'd be if you're adding or subtracting things inside the parentheses. So these we're actually going to start by distributing the exponents. So exponents go to all the parts inside. So here that's going to go to the 3, the x, and the y. In the denominator, the 2 goes to the negative and the x and the y. The negative is kind of like a -1 in there. Okay, so it does also get the exponent. So in the numerator, 3 to the third becomes what? What is 3 to the third power? 27. You could write 3 to the third, or we could actually simplify it and write 27. I'm just going to take that same step at the same time. X to the third power, am I adding the exponents or multiplying them? Multiplying. So technically there's a 1. 1 times 3 is 3. And y to the, what do I do with these exponents? Add them or multiply them? Multiply. Okay, power to power, we multiply. We just did the same thing with the x. No one seems to have trouble when it's 1 and 3, but you all have trouble when it's 3 and 3. So these are going to multiply, so y to the 9th power. Over, negative squared turns into what? A positive 1, so we just don't write it, okay? X to the second becomes x to the fourth, and y to the third to the second becomes what? Y to the 6th. Then we want to reduce things away. So as far as numbers go, 27 over x, or excuse me, 27 over 1 is just going to say 27. So you're not going to change anything there. 27. For the x's, which one's bigger, the top or the bottom?
Bottom.
The bottom, so the x is going to stay on the bottom, and how many more are there? 1 more, it wins by 1. If you'd like to put the exponent of 1, you can, but it's not absolutely necessary. And the y's, is it bigger on the top or the bottom? Top, and it wins by 3. That's your answer. Okay, 27 y cubed over x. If you don't write the x to the first, again, that's totally fine. It's not necessary. Questions on how I did that? Exponents are something you guys have worked with for many, many years, whether or not you like them or not. Okay, they should be relatively simple for you. Okay, next, I'd like you to simplify 3x minus 4 multiplied by 2x squared, excuse me, plus x minus 1. Now, there's a couple different ways you can multiply, right? Some of you are very good at doing those distributing rainbows, that's fine, right? Others of you will only do the boxes. If you prefer to do the boxes, that's fine. Or you can do the old school method, which is the way I prefer to do this problem. You always line up the largest one on the top. So the largest is the trinomial. Line up the binomial underneath. Okay, if you have a different method that you'd like to use, that's fine. You can just check your answer with mine at the end. Okay, when we're doing old school, multiply just like if it was just numbers. So -4 times -1 gives you a +4. Old school means you don't have to carry anything, and you do have to write the signs. -4 times x gives you -4x. -4 times 2x squared is -8x squared. Then we skip a space or write a +0. Yes, ma'am.
Isn't it plus 4x?
negative, this negative goes with the 4. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Find it? Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Okay, then 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. 3x times x squared is positive 3x squared. And 3x times 2x squared is positive 6x cubed. These should be perfectly lined up as far as like terms, so just add them all together. So 6x cubed, negative 8x squared plus 3x squared gives you negative 5x squared. Negative 4 and negative 3 gives you minus 7x and a plus 4. That's the answer that we're looking for. Next, we're going to do exactly opposite of that. Okay, and instead of a multiply problem, I'd like you to divide. We're going to divide 2x minus 1 into 4x cubed plus 6x squared minus 2x plus 3. This is long division. There's really no super fast way to do this. Okay, the only way you can do this really is to figure out what goes into 2x, or excuse me, how do you get from 2x to 4x cubed? What would you have to multiply by? To get from 2 to 4, you'd multiply by a 2. To get from x to the first to x to the third, you'd multiply by an x squared. Then we actually multiply, so 2x squared times 2x gives you 4x cubed. 2x squared times negative 1 is minus 2x squared. Then you have to change the signs, so change all of these signs, make this a negative. We're going to subtract. Negative turns into a positive. I would suggest using a different color if you have one. Then we actually subtract. If the first part does not cancel, you made a mistake. Okay, these are supposed to cancel out. Then 6x squared plus 2x squared gives you 8x squared. Bring down the next term, minus 2x. We're going to start all over. Try to multiply. To get from 2x to 8x squared, what would you have to multiply by? 4x. Okay. Only problem there is you have to remember to write the plus or minus. This would be a positive, so plus 4x. Then actually multiply. 4x times 2x gives you 8x squared. 4x times negative 1 is minus 4x. Change all of the signs. So change this to be a minus. Change this to be a plus. That first thing should cancel out. That's supposed to happen. Negative 2, positive 4 gives you a positive 2x. Bring down your next term. So plus 3. To get from 2x to 2x, you multiply by a plus 1. Then multiply across. So 1 times 2x gives you 2x minus 1. This is probably where most people are going to make a mistake here. You have to still change the signs, even if it's on the last step. So change this to negative, change this to positive. People will always forget to change that last sign. This one cancels out, and you're left with a remainder of a plus 4. So you write the remainder as plus whatever's left over 2x minus 1. Whatever's left over whatever you started with. Okay? Can the 4 and the 2x reduce? No, you may not reduce this 4 and this 2. Okay? Do not reduce that. Questions on how I did that? Okay, next part of what we're going to do is going to ask you to factor completely. So all the rest of this, okay, all the rest of today is going to be factoring. Factor completely. So sometimes you will have to double or even triple factor. So for number 4, I would like you to completely factor 8x cubed plus 125. 8x cubed plus 125. Okay, hopefully we remember what's the first thing you should always look for in factoring. GCF. Is there GCF here? Does anything go into both 8 and 125? No. Okay. What kind of factoring do we think this is? Usually when there's only two terms, we look for difference of squares. This is definitely not a difference, and there's not squares. These are both what? Cubes. So we're going to do cube factoring. Anyone remember what the acronym is for cube factoring? What do we use? SOAP. Okay, SOAP. Little parentheses, big parentheses. Put in what we call our SOAP signs. So S-O-A-P. S stands for same. O stands for opposite, and we're looking at this sign. So same sign is positive, opposite is negative. AP is always positive. If you'd like to, if you find it necessary, you can figure out what cubed gives you 8x to the third power. 2 and an x. Okay, so if you'd like to, you can always write these underneath. It might help you. Okay, so the first thing that goes in the parentheses is the first thing that was cubed, so 2 and an x. Then the second part was 5. The first thing squared. How would you write 2 and x squared? 4x squared. We're not just squaring that second part. Okay, you have to actually square everything. Combination of both, so 2x and 5. By combination, I mean multiply them together. So 2x times 5 gives you 10x. And then lastly, the second thing squared, so 5 squared is 25. Technically, it is possible that you could have to factor this again, but I've never given you a problem like that, and I'm not going to on the final. Okay, so you are done. That's your answer. Okay, let's try another one. Like I said, we have 8 total. Again, we're still working on factoring completely. So for example number 5, I would like you to completely factor 27x cubed minus y cubed. 27x cubed minus y cubed. This is another what kind of factoring? Cubes. Okay, is there GCF that you can take out first? No GCF. Okay, now we're going to try to break down these cubes. What to the third power gave you 27x to the third? That came from a 3 and an x. This just came from the y. So these were both cubed, if it helps you to write that down. Then you want to write your acronym for cube factoring, so little parentheses and a little bit bigger one. Write in your SOAP signs, so same, opposite, AP for always positive. Same sign as what? Negative. We're talking same as the original equation. So negative, opposite is positive. AP, always positive. Then actually put these in. The first part is 3 and an x. Second thing is y. First thing squared would be what? 9x squared. You have to square both the variable and the coefficient, so the number and the letter. Combination of both, we always want to write these in alphabetical order, so 3xy. And then the second thing squared, just y squared. That's the answer that we're looking for. Is this hopefully kind of coming back so you remember it a little bit? Hopefully. Okay, number 6. Number 6, I'd like you to factor completely 4y squared minus 16x squared. 4y squared minus 16x squared. I'd like you to try that one on your own, and then we'll check answers in just a minute. 4y squared minus 16x squared. Okay, what kind of factoring can you do here? GCF. Okay, you could also do difference of squares, but not first. Okay, you first always want to take out a GCF. So first take out the GCF of what? What is the GCF? A 4. Left behind would be y squared minus 4x squared. Then, can you factor further? Yes, this factors to be difference of squares. So you still have a 4. We're going to do 2 sets of parentheses. One gets a plus, one gets a minus. Y squared breaks down to y and y. 4x squared breaks down to 2x and 2x. Can we break anything else? Nope, you're done. 4 times y plus 2x times y minus 2x. Okay, number 7. I would like you to factor completely quantity, so that means in parentheses x plus 7 quantity squared, so in parentheses x plus 7 squared minus 36. X plus 7 quantity squared minus 36. Anyone remember this type of factoring? If we have a quantity, what do you usually want to replace it with? A Q, right. Okay, so I'm going to take out the quantity and I'm just going to replace it with a Q. So Q squared minus 36. That looks a lot easier to do. Okay, what's Q squared minus 36 break into? Difference of squares, Q plus 6, Q minus 6. And I use Q for quantity. I am intentionally using a different color so that I will remember to put back what I took out. Then, whatever I took out, technically I apologize, I should have written that Q was equal to x plus 7. I didn't do that. Now I'm going to plug back in what I took out. So x plus 7 plus 6 and x plus 7 minus 6. Do not leave your answers like that. Okay, go ahead and simplify them. So x plus 7 plus 6 is x plus 13. X plus 7 minus 6 is x plus 1. And that's it. Questions? And then the last one I'd like you to do is, again, another factoring problem. I would like you to factor completely 8x squared plus 10x minus 3. 8x squared plus 10x minus 3. 8x squared plus 10x minus 3. Now, there's a couple different methods you could use here. You could do over, under, or you could do guess and check. Does not matter which way you do this. You can still get the same or the correct answer either way. Would you guys prefer over, under, or guess and check? Over, under? Kind of figured. Okay. Take this first number, multiply over, and multiply it by the last number. So x squared plus 10x minus 8 times 3 is 24. Then we factor this. If you factor this, what are your signs going to be? Both plus, both minus, or one of each? One of each. At the end, if it's negative, you have to have one positive, one negative. X squared obviously breaks down to x and x. What would multiply to negative 24 and add to positive 10? Can 4 and 6 work? No, 4 and 6 cannot work because they don't multiply to give you a negative. Okay, you have to have one positive, one negative. 12 and 2 will work. Okay, if you don't see them automatically in your head, you can always write out the factors. So you could write like 1 and 24, 2 and 12, if it's easier for you. 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Okay, write them out. There's nothing wrong with showing that work. Okay, don't do too much in your head because you're going to have a lot of concepts on this final. So try to show as much work as you can so you don't goof something up in your head. So we decided 2 and 12 are going to work. Okay, which one should be positive, which should be negative? The positive goes with the larger number, so plus goes with the 12, minus goes with the 2. Can't factor anymore, so you're done. Anyone have questions? Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, you are absolutely not done. I guarantee this is one of the multiple choice answers that would be on there. It's bad. Okay, I apologize, thank you. I owe Alex a homework pass for that. Okay? She was the loudest, okay? Then bring back that front 8. Okay, you have to bring back the 8. Thank you. Reduce Okay, what is 12 over 8 reduced to be? Okay, what is 12 over 8 reduced to be? Divide both by 4, that would be 3 over 2. This one reduces to be x minus 1 over 4. Okay, you have to reduce before you can bring these up front. Then take the bottom numbers, bring them to the front, bring the bottom up, and we're going to get 2x plus 3 and 4x minus 1. Okay, 2x plus 3 and 4x minus 1. Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Say again. I missed it. Okay, you guys are going to be working on Unit 3, the final review from Unit 3, okay? You only have to do the odds, but I'm going to give you some time in class to work on that now.